Smoke on the water. Fire in the sky. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are here today. Episode 15. Am I right?
It is.
Episode 15
That's
of
right.
the Tell Me a Story podcast. I am sketchy old Tom Daly here with my good friend, the Doctor of History, Shawn McCarthy. Shawn, how are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Better now that I got to listen to that. You do some singing there.
Oh,
That's
isn't it
great.
amazing?
It is. Yeah.
So
that's
anybody
it.
that heard that, that's the reason why I will never be in a damn musical in my life, nor do I want to be. There's many people who can sing. I am not one of them. But we are here to tell a story, and it's a good one. The Ghost Ship of Chaleur. So, Shawn, do you have any memories of hearing this story growing up?
No, I haven't. But I will say that I have been condemning the Ghost Ship of Chaleur now for many, many years as Cletus the Lumberjack, my alter ego. When I go to... I host different events and work with the Membership Kitchen Party, and I always tell the story of the Dungarvan Hooper, and I always say the Dungarvan Hooper is the most famous of all New Brunswick ghost stories. Ghost Ship of the Chaleur Bay be damned. So yeah,
Okay.
I've been calling this down without ever knowing it. So that's ignorance on my part, and so I got a chance to learn a little bit more about it for this episode.
Interesting. I think I can remember. I always liked pirates and stuff. I had the pirate Lego set back in the day, so I remember hearing the story from my mom. I think it was actually, and she said she wasn't sure of the story. She there was some like burning pirate ship, she called it, or some French ship, she also called it. So she wasn't sure of the origins either. So we're going to speak of the origins of it because there's conflicting stories, isn't there? No one knows exactly where the ship came from, what the story behind it is, but we're going to tell all the stories that we know.
Yeah,
today.
There's quite a few. I was very, very impressed to read about all of the different versions. A lot of them are, pirate stories. So whether this ship was a ship that was condemned for all of its evil acts of the pirates on board, and
Piracy.
so it's indeed, yeah. So it's haunted.
More than just stealing songs.
It's true.
Back in those days.
Well, yeah, much more. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, so whether it was condemned, and so therefore the crew is forever haunting the Chaleur Bay. Whether it was a situation where it was chasing a French ship into Chaleur Bay, and the French ship set itself on fire and then kind of ran into the pirate ship and set that on fire. So there's a version that says that. There's a version that says that it was a pirate ship and there was a mutiny on board, and the captain set the ship on fire in order so that it couldn't be taken from him.
All right, so for people watching, let's paint a picture of where exactly we are. We're in New Brunswick, small province in Atlantic Canada. Now, Chaleur Bay is up at the northern part of the province,
Yes.
a big body of water. And so this ship sailed from somewhere beyond here, we believe.
Indeed.
And describe it first of all. It's a tall ship. It is a wooden vessel that you're familiar with, that classic 1600s, 1700s look. Right. So this is the thing that people see burning. And when is the first reports of people seeing the ship? Do you know?
So the first reports I found were in the late 1800s, but it said that there have been sightings for 200 years at that point.
Okay.
So
wow.
So some from the late 1600s.
Late 1600s.
Maybe.
Okay.
So
wow. So
yeah.
we're going back to the really early history of Canada. If we're at the late 1600s, this is the Denis times, isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
yeah.
So, all right. Interesting. And so that first story that you found, let's elaborate on that some. What do we know about
Sure.
that?
So that first story that I found, actually, it was interesting that it was kind of used as a means of drumming up business. So if you want to see...
It's a scam.
Exactly. If you want to see the phantom ship of the Chaleur Bay, the famous phantom ship of the Chaleur Bay, come to this event that is happening in Jacket River.
Okay.
And it's well set up, and you'll get a great view of it as it comes across the water.
Interesting. This is some very early Halloween tourism.
I guess
think.
so, yeah.
Interesting. Inspiration for what we do.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
In 1898, a group of mill workers in northern New Brunswick saw the Phantom ship sail out and sail in kind of a zigzag pattern, and it was on. Apparently, they claimed that it was on its way to Charlotte. And so one of the local papers up there said, kind of reported this. Then one of the local papers here called bullshit on that and said that those workers couldn't have seen anything. There was a mountain in the way. How do they know where that ship was going? So I got a bit of a press rivalry at that time.
I guess
Trying to refute the sightings. And really the sightings kind of continue right on through the early 1900s, right through till the present day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's, I guess what grabs me about this is usually when there's a ghost sighting or UFO sighting, it's always like one guy or one lady, sees something. And then, but in this case, it's a lot of groups of people seeing it, isn't it? Yeah. So there's a lot of eyewitnesses.
Yeah. Every report, I think there's at least 4 people seem to kind of see this, or it's a group of workers, as you say.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it's seen not only here in New Brunswick, but it's also seen in Nova Scotia. It's seen in Quebec, obviously, because the Chaleur Bay separates New Brunswick from Quebec. But there are sailors from other places that report this. I think at one point there's a Danish captain that's interviewed about seeing it and what he thinks it is. So it's not even necessarily even local residents that are seeing this.
Really interesting stuff. And you were saying earlier, we think it's in the thousands of people?
According to the reports, they say thousands of people have seen this over 200 years.
Over 200 years, Yeah. So let's go through some of the people who saw it. I know there's one story there that a minister actually saw it with a whole Sunday school class or something.
I guess so, yeah.
That's wild, too. You would hope that the minister would have some credibility. It wasn't just making it up. So that's always interesting, too, because you do look at, like, what profession do these people have and stuff like that. And, again, back to, like, UFOs and stuff, it's people from, like, the military or doctors or people who have, like, a lot to lose in their reputations. I assume this minister, so he saw it with the Sunday school class, and you mentioned the Danish fellow.
A Danish sea captain.
Sea captain. Yeah, and a member of the royal family, the British royal family.
Yes.
Correct?
According to one of these reports, I don't know that it was. I'm not sure if it was this Phantom ship or another Phantom ship at the same time that was kind of like this Phantom ship. But in 1881, King George V is recorded to have seen a Phantom ship while he was in service with the Royal Navy.
Okay. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So, the origins of the ship, it's the body of water in the north there. So, between Quebec and New Brunswick. And one of the theories of the ship is that it is, in fact, a French vessel. That's one of the ones that went down, possibly the last one to go down in the Battle of the Restigers. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, that is another version of it as well. Yeah, so the last naval battle in the 7 Years' War. Yeah.
Gotcha. And they say they can hear people screaming on board their ship, too. It's more than just, a silent specter.
That's true. True. And, and many of the reports talk about men up in the rigging of the ship. So it's not even something that's just sort of kind of floating empty. They can see people going up and down trying to put the fire out.
Wow.
And as you say, kind of hearing the screams and all of this. So kind of in the last desperate moments of this ship.
Oh, that's creepy.
It is.
You hear about it's like almost like printed on something, like not to get too new agey, but like the energy permanently stamps something that happens. It just keeps playing over and over and over like a film reel. So that's really cool stuff. What a way to go, too. Could you imagine being on a ship and it catches fire and it's a big body of water?
Yeah.
You're not going to swim very
No.
You're not going to swim very well. It's cold and you're heavy clothes. Yeah.
And strangely, we wouldn't think about that, but a lot of these sailors couldn't swim.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's the thing. And like we talked about the Miramichi Fire, too. So many people, instincts was get to water. But then a lot of people drown because they couldn't stay afloat or couldn't swim very well whatsoever. But
Exactly. A lot of times is the Phantom ship is seen around a storm, Most reports say it was right before a storm. A couple of them do say it was after a storm. So there's has that forerunner, effect as well. That if you see it, some hard times at sea are coming. So there's that aspect of it as well.
Right. So again, we talked about the French origins possibly of the ship, but another country that the ship might be from as well, a country that we don't hear a whole lot about in this part of Canada, Portugal.
Yeah, I was interested to kind of read a little bit more about that again. Kind of the Portuguese influence. We hardly ever talk about it,
no.
But yeah, the Portuguese were a big part of international trade.
They were. That's an empire you don't hear a whole lot about, do you?
True.
They sailed across the ocean, went down to Brazil. That's their big territory. So
yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Brazil and of course some colonies in Africa as well. So yeah, I think we're the first to start to navigate around the South Africa, the Cape of Good Hope and all that. Yeah.
So what is the Portuguese story? Do you know it's?
I'm blanking on the full details, but again, a Portuguese trader that's.
He was in slavery, I think. That's the
probably.
One
Yeah, probably so.
That's the one I believe that was in for slavery.
Okay.
Was picking up slaves here,
Okay.
And then was something happened, and there was a mutiny on board or whatever, and the ship catches fire, and so that's what we're seeing there. So there's another interesting twist on the story. If there was actually Portuguese ships coming here, might be linked to some of that Spanish gold that was found here too.
Maybe so.
Back in the day.
That's true.
That's true. Why that currency made its way here. All right. So, I'll let you continue.
No, I was going to say another version from another country, a little bit closer to us, of course, there's also a version that it was an American pleasure boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's hear more about this.
Well, apparently that it was an American I don't know.
Sailing up from Mar-a-Lago.
Maybe so. Who knows? And apparently there was a drunken brawl on board, and the ship caught fire.
Okay.
And so that there's that version as well, which is
interesting. Yeah.
Huh. And of course, like I say, a lot of rum runners and all that.
Yes.
Kind of in earlier days, it wouldn't really account for the fact that it's been seen since the early or the late 1600s, because obviously there wouldn't be too many American pleasure craft at that time.
Because of the Puritans there.
Yeah, that's it.
Massachusetts. This is where they came up to get their rocks off.
I guess so.
Let me tell you, the Quaker Oats man came here and he got up to all sorts of shenanigans with all sorts of things.
You know what they say? There's no crazy like real repressed crazy.
There's no shore like the North Shore. That's for sure.
Exactly. That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So yeah, you heard it here first, folks.
The first candidate, the first customers, the Sex Puff. They're
exactly yeah
on the other side of the border. They're from Campbellton.
Exactly. There we go. Our neighbors to the north, who we adore so much.
Exactly.
Let's do a deep dive on Sex Puff sometime. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. But yeah, so it's certainly a lot of different versions of that. Of course, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the fact that there are some scientific, explanations for it. But again, those aren't really exciting.
They're not. No, and it always comes back to the St. Elmo's fire.
Yes,
yes. Which is a really intriguing name.
It is.
When the scientific explanation even has a saint, mentioned.
That's
like,
true.
Oh wow, that's
true. Yeah, not the 1985 Brat Pack comedy or the song of the same name, but yeah, the electrostatic phenomenon of kind of illumination around the
water. It's gases coming off of the water or something like that.
Kind of being ignited by atmospheric. That
I could kind of see if you just saw fire, say, but the fact that people say they actually see a ship there too, that kind of changes things. And
people, kind of going up and down and the screams and all that. That's it.
Yeah, there's something going on there. I truly believe in that part of the province, just because so many people, like I said, even if 1% of the people are telling the truth, that's still a huge number when thousands have seen it.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
it's it's certainly quite something. And again, the fact that people have tried to chase this phantom ship and have not been able to catch it. You know, people have been on the water. They've seen it. They've tried to chase it down. Fishermen off Shippagan and other places here along the North Shore of New Brunswick and into Quebec. But they've never been able. It's sort of, you know, it's kind of turned away, or it's moving faster than, you know, which again is obviously somewhat paranormal because, I mean, a
ship like that.
That's it. Yeah.
Really interesting. Yeah, I'm wondering. I'm just thinking now about the rum runners and stuff. That could be. Imagine if you were carrying barrels and barrels, and the rum was pretty strong back in those days, I bet, too. And how if a fire got out of hand, how that would go up.
Absolutely. Yeah, so between, you know, rum at that time, of course, a lot of these ships are loaded with gunpowder.
Yes.
You know, so.
Good point. Yeah. Gunpowder fire off the cannons and all that. And, yeah, just the ropes lying around and the sails. And
that's it, yeah. And the tar and the pitch that is used to waterproof everything, you know, so.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is, wow. Right. So let's name some names. We know some people who saw this, don't we, Shawn?
Well, I guess so.
We know at least one guy.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. This isn't rumors or hearsay either. This time, if you gave an interview to the newspaper, this guy, the doctor of history, will find it. So, former mayor of Bathurst. Let's talk about that guy. 'Cause we have met him, both of us.
Yeah, the Kevin Mann.
Yeah.
So local historian up there, playwright. Member of the Irish Canadian Cultural Association.
There you go. There you go.
So you know he's legit.
Oh yeah. It's hard to get on that board. Let me tell you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he's seen it on 2 separate occasions, right, and been interviewed.
Yeah. Twice.
You know, so that's it. Yeah. So right down to, like I say, right down to the present day. I mean, you've got people that are seeing it and talking about it.
Yeah. That's really, really cool. Did they do something recently with this? I seem to remember seeing this ship on something in that area. What would that be? Not a stamp, not a coin. Whatever. I think there was even talk about it becoming like their tourism logo or something at one point. But yeah.
Which again, I mean, I think, you know, with so many places kind of leaning into kind of their ghost lore and that, why not, right?
Why not?
Yeah,
it's a great story. All right, so do we know when like the last sighting was or anything like that to bring in the present day?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, when the last sightings were. I want to say at some point in the 2000s, I think was the last articles that I think I
last articles you found in the
was kind of 2002 or 2000. So maybe there's been sightings since then, but they just weren't. Or were too current, and I couldn't find them.
Got to check those sketchy paranormal forums on Reddit.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. That's it. Yes, indeed.
All right. So very cool stuff. So anybody watching this, comment section, let us know about the ghost ship of Chaleur. What do you know? What have you heard? Have you seen it yourself? We'd love to hear from you. So
of course.
Anything else we should add here, Shawn?
I'd like to take just a second to say that here in Miramichi, I guess there's kind of maybe an echo of this sort of thing. In the course of my research, I also found that just across from Logieville, which is a community a little bit further downriver from us, apparently there was a shipwreck or there was an attack that was made near there, and there's stories that I've read of people tending their farms and whatever, can hear all these, god awful, screams. And so apparently found out years later that there was an attack that was made. They call it, I think, a Kerr's Wharf. So just opposite Logieville. And there was a massacre there, or there was a bunch of people that were killed in an attack in, I think, 1691.
Okay, back to the 1600s. So way back.
So that's it. And so again, that was something that was heard throughout the 19th century here. So again, sort of a kind of a similar story.
All sort of together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that 1600s time is not a time that we don't hear a lot about it.
No.
And certainly a lot of war and at that time that's not really kind of spoken about.
Yeah, I'd love to learn more about that, because you always, again, the propaganda that they'll teach you will be that, everybody's lived in harmony until, the big bad British came in 1755, and then it all went to hell after that. But now there was, and again, these 1600s, these massacres that we just mentioned, things like that are happening. It's Yeah, people are always going to find a reason to kill you.
Well, and I
To kill
mean,
each other.
you know, that's it. I mean, and of course, Europe's problems, you know, at that time, and you know, kind of have a tendency to kind of find themselves over here.
Oh, of course, yeah.
The British were here many more times before 1755, and as you say, I mean, other countries that we don't even talk about very often,
Yeah.
you know, like Portugal, you
Portugal.
know, who were traveling through the area.
Even these Americans, these Puritans, they were, you know, badass guys that
Sure.
were coming out of that English Civil War and stuff like that. I remember hearing
right.
somewhere that there was one of the Puritan churches. They had like, I forget what it was. The curtains or something were actually made from like the skins of the last Vikings, the last Danes or something.
Wow.
That they
Okay.
finally kicked out of England. Yeah, they had skinned them and were using this as, you know, either
Yeah.
for the curtains or altar, you know, dressings or
Okay.
whatever. Yeah,
Wow.
if that's remotely true, it goes to show.
Yeesh.
But these are the guys too. They weren't afraid of the old fire, were they?
They were not. They were not. Certainly not.
They weren't afraid
That's
of
right.
the old pitch and
No.
stake and fire and all that sort of thing.
Of course
So,
not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as you say, I mean, the English Civil War was a pretty brutal period. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, what I'm
that's
getting
it.
at, all these Europeans, where they came from, whether it was England or France or Spain or Portugal or they'd seen some battle, and the First Nations folks over here too. They've been, you know,
Of
had
course,
all sorts
yeah.
of warfare amongst themselves, so they're ready for a battle too. So it's
Yeah.
a powder keg, ready to go off. Yeah.
And as you say, you know, again, not to get kind of metaphysical, but, you know, big moments like that kind of, as you say, kind of maybe kind of leave their traces
Oh yeah.
on places.
I really think
and,
so. I think
yeah.
that the ground and the sky and the energy,
Yeah.
it's stuck there. And that's why we're in this horrible hell that we can never get rid of. It just keeps over and over and over again.
Who knows? Who knows? That's it.
Yeah, all right.
I'm going to consult my cheat sheet here for a minute, Tom, and just see if
Yeah, go ahead.
we've missed anything.
At least you made one.
Another story that they kind of linked to this one, which I forgot before I looked at my cheat sheet, was there's a rock in kind of on the Quebec side that it was the pirates came in, they raided the community, they killed this lady's fiance, and they stranded her on this rock. And apparently her ghost is there and sort of draws unexpected sailors in, and they're wrecked on this rock.
Ooh, she must be hot.
Well, maybe.
I bet she's hot.
Could be,
Yeah.
could be. That's it. So yeah, so there's on the Quebec side, there's that story as well of kind of another haunting, and again another pirate story. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do a deep dive on piracy stories. You know,
Yeah.
because there's so
There are-
many. I know that again, the Headless
Absolutely.
Hunter. People like to think there's some connection there. And what is it? Somebody told me there's a treasure buried like Strawberry Marsh too.
I've heard that.
You
Yeah.
heard that as well. Yeah.
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 There's, they say the Captain Kidd buried his treasure somewhere here in the Miramichi, and
Yeah.
you know, there's a lot of that for sure. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. And of course, like I say, some of the ships that were built here on the river were used for piracy or other purposes as well. So you could certainly do some stuff there.
That would be really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole shipping back to the tall ships too. I'm thinking of. We've
Yeah.
had those come here a bunch of times. And Yeah.
That's right.
Really fascinating time period.
Absolutely, it is.
All right, Creepy Dave. Let's talk about him, the man behind the camera, our artist in residence. He doesn't live here, but we drag him out of the crypt once a week to bring him here to film and set up and do all that. We're going to shout out to his artwork, which we have behind us. Coffee Doodles by David Jardine. And yeah, if you haven't checked it out, check it out. Link in the bio below.
That's right.
Description below. Description
Yes,
below.
that's
Bio
true.
is
That's true.
Instagram.
Yes.
Go there too. Also,
Yes,
click. Just
of
keep
course.
clicking, click everything you see.
Exactly. Exactly. That's it. You know, listen to it on Spotify, watch it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it. And yeah, of course, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know about, again, as Tom said, about, do you have any theories about the ghost ship of Chaleur Bay? Do you have any other stories, again, of, you know, tragic happenings that sort of imprinted themselves on a place or a body of water? And of course, some of the work that I read in preparation of this linked our story here in New Brunswick to the Flying Dutchman in Australia, which is another ghost ship.
Okay, that's where that is. I've heard the term, but I never knew that's all the way in Australia. Wow.
So again, if we've got any Australian viewers here, who knows, that tell us a little bit more about that. And is it the same kind of thing, or is it something a little bit different? That one apparently glows red. So again, I don't know if it's on fire, but yeah. So there's certainly some links there as well. And of course, if you have a story that you'd like us to look into, do please let us know. We want to do we want to tell the stories that you want to listen to. So absolutely, do please,
So
reach out.
keep watching the water.
Indeed.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
See you next week.